And yeah, Mega Man 03 has become one of my all-time favorite games. Doom Eternal might just be one of my favorite games and one of the best FPSs I've played in recent time. Look, I love these games, but this is something more special. There are very few games that I can say have had a big impact on me. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Without some of my favorite games, I don't think I would be the person I am today. One of these games is what I will be talking about today. I mentioned in the first Gears video that I got Gears of War 2 and Halo 3 ODST through a sale, but I forgot to mention that these were my first ever AAA games, and Gears of War 2 is the best example of a game that made me love everything else other than gameplay. My love for video game music? That realistically goes to Sonic, but this is where I got to hear more orchestral music. Story? Yeah, this game made me love video game stories. But enough of me for now. It's no surprise people say that Gears of War 2 is one of the best games in the series and would also be the definition of a perfect sequel. Pretty much everything that worked in the first game has been turned up to an 11. It's a game that I have wanted to talk about for all of my life, but now it's that moment. I can finally get to talk about one of my all-time favorite video games. So hi, my name is Solar, and ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else in between, this is Gears of War 2. I usually talk about the intros of games first, but I need to talk about this title. As someone who grew up with Sonic games up to this point, this title screen was something that honestly surprised me. It's dark, ominous, and that track that plays, it's so good. But now we should talk about the game's intro.
It began, as always, with the desire for power. The need to conquer, the hunger to consume.
What I love about this opening, especially now, is how much world building goes on. Even if you're like me and this was your first Gears game, we get to not only see the Pendulum Wars with actual designs for the UIR, but also the beginning of Emergence Day, and how the Locusts haven't been affected by the Lightmass bomb as much as we thought. Also, fun fact, the flashback with the UIR and COG have the Retro Lancers, which I thought was really cool to see before Gears 3. I think no matter which point I stand in with these games, I think the Gears games always have some fantastic intros. Even in Gears 3, 4, and Ultimate Edition, the middle and later half of the games I'm not that fond of, still have some fantastic openings to help people understand the Gears story.
Jacinto now stands as the last bastion of humanity. A final, desperate defense in the face of impossible odds. In a way, I pity them. But humanity, as always, brought this war upon itself.
So here we are in the present. It's been about 6 months since the Lightmass offensive, and the Locust attacks have not stopped. It's gone to the point where the last human stronghold is Jacinto, a plateau in which the Locusts can't fully dig through. We meet up with Marcus and Dom, as well as Anya. I completely forgot about her in the first game. She's the officer that helps to tell the COG what to do and where to go. She does get more development in the future games, but that's pretty much what she is right now, and I like her. We also meet Benjamin Carmine, Anthony Carmine's brother from the first game, and he's probably my favorite of the brothers. Yes, there are in fact more of them.
Private Ben Carmine, sir! Reporting for duty, sir!
Drop the sir, kid. We're not that polite out here. Come on, let's go. Oh yeah, welcome to Delta.
To go over some of the gameplay, we choose to lead Carmine through the tutorial. This mostly helps to get things down with the gameplay, which, it works, but I mostly like it just because of the character moments.
Yo, you said your name is Carmine? You got a brother was a gear?
Yeah, all 4 of us. Well, 3 now. You know one of them?
I served with Anthony. He was a good soldier. My respects.
Thanks. Just good to know he died a hero's death.
Yeah, right.
Something you'll notice too is the better detail to the world. Gears 1 was great with selling the areas we went through being affected by the Locust War, but Gears 2 goes further with having better details in areas and just looking a lot better. Outside of what I've talked about, there's not much more to do, so as we head back, the Jacinto Hospital is under attack. Marcus and Dom go and defend the place, and we have Carmine stay behind.
Looks like vacation's over, kid. Head back to the convoy drop-off. Stay there till I call you on your TACCOM.
But
That's an order, soldier! Dom, let's move.
As we enter the hospital, we start Act 1. As Anya talks to Dom, we learn that the person he was looking for in the first game was actually his wife, but that's going to be brought up later, as it's going to be a more recurring thing that happens throughout the game. In the hospital, we meet a new character, Ty Caliso, one of my personal favorites despite how little screen time he gets. Ty is most well known for his calm and philosophical manner of talking, as well as his violent personality coming out at times.
I like the glow of locust blood in this light.
You've got a sick mind, Ty.
Ty takes us to counter some attacks from the Locust, and this is honestly one of my favorite sections.
Now, shoot the tanks! Nail these bastards! Yeah, eat that!
It's simple, but I've always liked it. While we go through the beginning part of the hospital, Ty talks about rust lung. It's a disease that's been popping up affecting people since the light mass offensive. The disease is caused by prolonged exposure to emotion. If you need a real life similarity, because there actually is one, it has a resemblance to black lung, which is caused by the prolonged exposure to coal dust. The Locusts finally break into the hospital, and the fights here are awesome. A small detail is that you can let the Raven shoot the Locust, but staying inside the corridor also has some extra lines.
5-9, hold your fire. There are gears and civilians in this building.
Roger that. Keep us posted.
Since not a lot more happens here outside of the gameplay, we should talk about some of the changes done. First off, diving to a table for cover has the character flip the table, which I think is pretty fun. Secondly, and more importantly, you can get downed. You can move around by pressing the A button a bunch of times to get to one of the characters to lift you back up. Sometimes it can be inconsistent, but man, in the first game you would instantly die, and I won't lie to say that that was the worst part of the gameplay. Especially in the house section, I'll say it again, that part can go burn in hell. Other factors in the gameplay to include are that the Locusts can also be downed but can also be revived like the player. You can also execute them, pummel them with your fist, and even use them as meat shields with your pistols. And once you're done with them, we finally got to fight Reavers on the ground. They act like a moving tank and their claws also damage people. One more change I want to talk about is the grenade. Now you can melee with it and attach it to walls to surprise enemies. It is helpful when you need to defend an area, though I admittedly only use it for this part. As we finish up the mission, Anya lets Dom know about his wife, but it's not great.
The Jane Doe I mentioned, she fits the description, but... well, looks like she was released a few days ago. We don't have any info after that.
There's gotta be another lead or something, right?
I'm sorry, Dom. That's it. I'm sorry.
Damn it! Not again! I've lost her again! Ah!
Copy that, Anya. Delta out. Dom, you okay?
I'll catch up with you in a sec, Marcus. All right?
Yeah. Whatever you need. Guys, let's go.
Not again.
Now, we head to one of the best scenes in the entire series.
Humans are no strangers to war. After all, we've been fighting for as long as we can remember. War is all we know. In the past, we fought for emulsion. We fought for country. We fought for freedom. But all that changed after E-Day. For 15 years, we've been fighting for our very survival against inhuman, genocidal monsters. But it is a fight we cannot continue. humanity faces extinction. Unless we end this war now.
So why land down, Sergeant? Why not just drill down here?
Jacinto's the one place it can't dig through, and Landdown's a perfect spot to hit them on their own turf.
Heard there's a shitload of grubs there, Sergeant.
More like 10 shitloads.
We had hoped the light mass bombing would decimate the Locust Horde. But they survived, and have returned stronger than ever. They brought with them a force that can sink entire cities. Even Jacinto, our last beacon of hope through all these dark days, is now at risk. Soon we'll have nothing left to defend. And that means we have only one option. Attack.
What I love the most about this section is that it hypes you up to see what the COG will do. Even with the terrible compression, seriously, I can count the pixels on the screen. This speech is still great. As we talk about this speech, we should talk about Prescott. He's the chairman of the COG, which is more or less a fancy word for the leader. While he doesn't really do much here or even know a lot about him, the third game will reveal some crazy things he's done.
This is the day we take the battle to the heart of the enemy. This is the day that we correct the course of human history. This is the day we ensure our survival as a species. Soldiers of the COG, my fellow gears, go forth and bring back the hope of humanity!
In this section, we meet Dizzy. He's the guy who's going to help us take us to Landdown, and if you can't tell by the lines, he's one of my personal favorite characters.
You a conscript?
I ain't got no choice once he took the lifeboat assistance. Family got the groceries, but Daddy got conscripted. Life's a bitch like that.
Now the goal is to head to the old city of Landdown to drill into the Locust Hollow.
Alright, settle in, Delta. We've got a long ride to Landdown.
As we head to Landdown, I want to quickly talk about the vehicle designs for the COG. I love the bulkiness of all of these designs. From the helicopters, called the Ravens, the Centaurs, the Armadillo, yes, that is a vehicle's name, and the giant assault derricks. I especially love the detail of the pinups used on the derricks. As soon as we started to deploy, however, we get bombarded by Locust attacks. The Nemesis from the first games are used as their versions of missiles, or even mortars, which would probably be the most accurate, and they use Reavers to try and push down the derricks. What I love about this section is just how it shows the power and brutality of the Locust, as this level also introduces the Brumox. While only seen in the cutscene in the first game, and was also able to be fought in Ultimate Edition and the PC version of the first game, here we can actually fight them. They have melted rocket launchers as well as chain guns on their wrist. Well, sometimes. So when I was going through the footage, I saw that the first Brumox you see doesn't actually have any wrist guns, but the other Brumox in this level do. There's also another small nitpick that comes from this section, where the Locusts come out of the grounds in hundreds. I like this part, not just because it shows the vast number of the enemy, but also that I can see the Locusts spawning in. And I'm certain this was more of a flex to show off what the Unreal Engine can do. Still, this part of the game is incredibly memorable, especially the moment where you get to blow up a Brumox head. We head into Landdown, but something happens to the kid behind us. Ty survives, but not the rest of his squad, so he's back in Delta Squad.
Fate has thrown us together again, huh, Marcus?
Looks that way. Welcome back to Delta, Ty. Sorry about your squad.
Everything happens for a reason.
Now we're in Landdown, the city that was taken over by the Locusts and became one of its strongholds. I'm predicting it's most likely because it's so close to Jacinto. If anything, what I love the most about this area is the snow setting. What I don't love are the new enemies.
What are those things?
Tickers. Locusts use them like landmines, so keep your distance.
I hate tickers. They have bombs on their back and they are really tricky to hit, but with the snub pistol, they're like balloons. I like to melee them and then hit them in the middle of the air. The thing I hate, by that I mean love, is the sounds that they make.
Could be anything in here. Keep an eye out, Delta.
You ever wonder why they don't just give us flashlights?
Kid's got a point.
Might versus light.
Meaning...
That I'd take an extra gun over a flashlight any day.
After going through the dark tunnel, we get to this section. Many times in the Gears games, you can go 2 different directions, each having different ways to go through the level and different objectives. To use this level here as an example, if you went through the right, you would have had to use a mortar to break the building on the other side to let the other group pass through. This happens a lot in the games, and it really helps with replayability, as I don't think I've ever gone through the left section in years. Yeah, I actually don't think so.
Damn. Talk about a graveyard.
Dirty grubs all over this place. I got no respect for the dead.
A lot of good soldiers from the Pendulum Wars buried here. Sure could use those men now.
Here I should mention the mortar. The mortar can be hip-fired to launch a grenade or whatever it is, but of course, we know how a mortar works, right? When aiming and planting yourself to the ground, you can charge it up to launch rounds at the enemies. Would it be weird to say that when I was younger, this was the first time I've ever learned about meters and was confused on what these numbers meant as a kid? Before we head to the hollows, this conversation happens.
Yo, Marcus,
Yeah?
if something happens to me, promise me you'll look for Maria.
You got it, Dom. No problem.
Oh, well, he's new. This is Scourge. I know I spell like Scourge, but I think Scourge sounds better. And he's kind of disappointing. But here he's awesome. He has a dual-wield chainsaw spear that can cut through these vehicles. Dizzy and Ty do what they can to make sure the cog gets to the hollow, ending Act 1. After a while of digging down, we arrive at Act 2 and we have finally reached the hollow. The setting here is fantastic. Finally having different colors but also varied plants and life around us makes this feel like we're on a different planet, and I love it. What also helps is how we can also see other cog soldiers going through the ground. Really makes this feel like a massive assault. Also, we hear Jace. You'll more likely know him from Gears 3, but he made an appearance here which I only caught a few years ago. He's surprisingly voiced by Nolan North, while in 3 it's someone different. Carmine contacts Marcus as his drop pod has missed its original point and the squad he was with was taken out, and now we head off to save him, but also continue by going through a wall by a drop pod. I feel kinda bad that I never mentioned the guy until now, but throughout the game, we're assisted by Jack. He's a hovering robot that helps with slicing open doors and activating devices. He's basically a silent version of Ghost. A small detail I like is that whenever Anya contacts Delta Squad, there's a screen that appears on Jack.
It's dusty as hell.
You know the helmets have a filtering system on them, right? If you wore a helmet, then you wouldn't have to breathe in the dust.
Yeah, but I wouldn't see snipers so well then, would I?
Cool it, Dom.
So let's talk about our goal. Right now we're trying to find not only the true stronghold of the Locust, but also seeing if there is a reason for the recent seismic activities happening with some cities surrounding Jacinto. Throughout the level, we'll find rockworms. They're invulnerable to bullets and they can only move when they see some fruit to eat. It's really cool how they're used as cover while moving throughout the level. I think now is also a good time that I talk about some of the weapons I didn't mention in the first video. First is the boom shot. It's a single shot grenade launcher that can easily destroy the Locust when clustered up. In this game we also get heavy weapons. We already had the previously mentioned mortar, but now we have the grinder. It's a heavy machine gun that can overheat pretty quickly, but man, use it right and you can demolish through everything. As we get further into the Hollow, we see Locust structures, but we also get one of, if not, my favorite enemies. The Cantus. It can do a lot of things. The most iconic aspect is the scream, which can actually summon tickers, which can also bring down locusts back on their feet. They can also move really quickly, drop ink bombs, and if you get too close, their scream can actually stun you. Ever since I fought them for the first time, the Cantus was always one of my favorite enemies, and I always like seeing them pop up every once in a while. If you played through this game, you know what's coming up next. The farther we have gotten through in this act, the more trembling there has been. At the end of this part, well, this happened.
Control, do you read me? Are you saying this?
Roger that, Delta. We've also just received topside confirmation that Elima City... The entire city has been sunk, right at your position.
Anya, it's a giant worm. They're sinking cities with a giant worm.
Yes, the Locusts have a worm, and this is what they've been using to sink the cities. We can see the absolute destruction of Elima City, and it's clear what the Locusts' goal is now. Also, this was the main city from Gears 1, and yeah, it's just gone. As if it wasn't terrifying enough, the Locusts decided to deploy the Blood Mounts. They are monsters ridden by the Grubs and are one of the deadliest enemies. They run on their arms and they can use their talons to quickly down people. Killing the rider will enrage the Blood Mount and it will get faster. I've always liked the Blood Mount, but I forgot that it actually ran on its arms. Despite the fact that they're pretty much a massive worm, their importance to the Locust is more than I originally thought. So let me take this moment to talk about the Rift Worms. The Locust has a religion known as the Trinity of Worms. As the name states, there are 3 Rift Worms, despite the fact we have yet to have seen the other 2 worms. Realistically, they're most likely still asleep. The Trinity also reflects the power structure of the Locust. It goes from the Queen, who is the head of the Locust, drones, and the Nexus. I'll talk about the Nexus later on in this video. The Riftworms are believed to be the creatures that created the Hollow Caves, and since the start of their religion, the Cantus would be the Locust version of a speaker for the Riftworms. Fun fact, Scourge is actually a High Priest Cantus. It makes more sense now on why he was the one that was able to summon the Riftworm. As for if he could control it, I'm actually not that sure. Back to the level, a Raven goes down and Delta Squad goes to see if anyone survived. It was a setup as a trap and the Locust ambushed him. But guess who decided to show up?
Marcus, is that gotta be?
Nobody plays this game like me. Nobody.
Cole!
In the flesh, baby. Try to tell you to stay away from that chopper, man. Sounds like you got thick for you.
It did. Thanks for the assist, Cole.
Yep, Cole is back, and he's just as good as he was before. He was split up with Baird and we find him later, but he's in this capsule thing. Baird states that the Locusts have begun to take people and they're usually tortured or used for other stuff. Something to keep in mind because we see a barge that has prisoners inside them. I don't know what's creepier, the idea of the barge or the creature that carries it. And one of these we find Oh god.
Marcus, we got more Locust on the way!
Ty, let's go! Cole, Baird, cover that door! Carmine, Dom, guard the rear! Ty!
I told you they're breaking people! I can hear them screaming from the docks!
Just like that, Ty's dead. That, wow. I've got to give this scene a lot of credit for being able to explain what happened to Ty without words. I also appreciate that everyone was clearly affected by what they saw, especially Marcus.
And about Ty. I'm sorry, Marcus. He was a good man.
Yeah, he was. Thanks, Anya. Delta out.
I think now is a good time to talk about something that I've been doing up to this point. I have been including a lot of character moments because that is what I love the most about this series. I know a lot of people would see this franchise at a glance and just think it's only buff men killing. I get that. But for me, the characterization is what I love the most about this series. It's why I still love games like Gears 3 and Judgment especially. But oh boy, that's gonna be a weird hot take, huh? I like including moments like this so people can see why I and many others love these characters. The team finally reaches an area that can allow them to get out, but as always, everything seems too easy. As Delta Squad gets on, the Worm manages to mess with the Raven and Carmine falls and yeah, you know what's gonna happen next.
Dom. Dom. Dom, you awake? I brought you breakfast. The kids are at my mother's, so we got the whole day to ourselves. Dom! Are you awake? Dom! Dom!
Dom! Dom, wake up!
Huh?
Dom, you okay?
Tell me we aren't where I think we are.
Hate to tell you, Dom. We are.
Yep, we're inside the Riftworm, and it's disgusting. What I hate, by that I mean love, is how graphic the insides are. From the massive teeth to the intestines surrounding the insides, it's graphic. We find Carmine, but holy shit. I have the mature setting off so that YouTube wouldn't mess with the video, but if you've seen the game originally, this part, pardon my language, it's fucking insane. I also gotta give credit to Carmine's VA, Michael Gao, for making this section genuinely hurt emotionally.
I hurt, Sarge. Tell my brothers and my mom. Tell them I love them and
But we can't stay. The worm begins to digest and we must run through the worm by shooting... I'm not even gonna say it. If you know what this looks like, you know. Even now, I still do feel kind of anxious about having to run away from the debris. I at least like Cole's dialogue here.
What kind of meat you want? Center cut, ribeye, T-bone? I'm with mine's red.
Things don't get better, however, as we must go through areas like the intestines, acid from what I think would be the stomach. Despite how massive the worm is, Marcus decides that this is the best time to take it out. To do so, we saw its heart veins. You would think that would be it, but guess what?
Wait! I still hear a heartbeat.
There are 2 more hearts. And yeah, this series is well known for its brutality, but this is just nuts. Especially with the detail that I really like, that the characters actually get covered up in the blood. Thankfully, after the 3 hearts are ripped, the Riftworm is finally dead.
This is just wrong. I'm coughing up blood that ain't mine.
Control! Delta here. We just, I don't know where to even begin, but just get us the hell out of here.
So instead of getting evac, they were sent this tank with a new objective. The COG have been able to find old data that can hopefully help find the true stronghold of the Locust. Starting to feel a bit of a deja vu. Baird's response here is perfect.
Anybody else's bullshit detector just go off?
Marcus, man, this sounds sketch.
If Hoffman didn't even know about this place.
It's not like we have a choice. This operation's our last shot. Move out.
Shotgun!
Well, if we're gonna want to end this war, it looks like we'll have to find this location, which starts Act 3. What I really like about this act is the horror. Up to this point, the game has been more action-oriented, which isn't really a bad thing. In fact, I love it. But I appreciate that the game finally slows down after everything that happened before. Despite how abandoned this facility looks, it's clear something is still online.
Welcome to Jameson Depot. Proper identification is required for entry.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm sorry, but proper identification is required for entry. Good day.
So we're going to have to blow the safe off, and we must see if we can turn on the power. We also find the flamer here. It's a flamethrower that I've always liked since it has a lot of range. Also, I like fire if you can't tell from my name.
Remember Carmine was always talking about fire?
Let's try this out. Yeah. And burned our asses with it.
Did he though? Like, I appreciate that they still talk about Carmine, but has he ever said anything about fire? Either I completely missed it, or there were some cut lines. Baird has set up this bomb that we'll use at their entrance, and this section kind of sucks. I get why you can only use your pistol in this section, but wow, the movement is very, very bad. Also, where did Baird get the supplies to make this thing? Whatever, we break the vault door and we enter the New Hope facility. Throughout this section, we'll have to send information we have to Command, who is Colonel Hoffman. Apparently, the facility was actually a tight-held secret. Only the highest ranking of the COG would know about this. And even then, not much was revealed.
Hostile?
Annoying.
Sounds like you have it under control, Delta. Keep us posted. Command out.
I should state that I won't be taking the information from the later games of this location, as I think what is already here in the game is more mysterious and better, to be honest. Again, I'm certain this is going to make someone mad, and that makes me happy. Anyways, for a facility, this place has a lot of auto turrets. Thankfully, you can deactivate them, and they work as something to try and avoid, or they can even be used to your advantage. But it does seem like overkill for security, wouldn't you think? Throughout the level, we talk to Niles. What originally seemed like the only person here in this facility is actually a weird AI thing. He's oddly creepy with some of his dialogue, but his neutral tone is very entertaining.
Security, like cleanliness, is next to godliness. Don't you agree?
Is this guy for real?
While Niles doesn't want us to see this information, we learn that the New Hope facility was used as a research facility for people with lambency. More specifically, the people who have been affected by emulsion. In the first game, we saw how much people wanted emulsion that they would make massive mine facilities to extract it. There's also the mention of children in this section, which, up to this point, I can't really think what the children are. I have read in older fandom posts that the children were also born with emulsion birth defects.
Command, this is Delta. Are you getting this?
I see it, Phoenix. But we're not pulling up anything on it. It's like it doesn't exist. Off the record, you are completely in confidential territory now. Your guess is as good as mine.
Roger that. Delta out.
Screwed.
To explain this further, we learn that some things were left behind and are now awake, and we get introduced to one of the creepiest enemies.
They're trying to get out. Should we be trying to help them?
I don't think so. We don't know what's in there. Could be something contaminated or worse.
Sires. The goddamn Sires. Oh god, these guys creep me out. Sires are the descendant of the Locust, yet they don't apparently have any biological comparisons. The things that freak me out about these guys are the designs, the unhuman mouth, the almost infected looking skins, and the tentacle especially. Ugh. It doesn't help that Niles' commentary is especially creepy.
Those are irreplaceable specimens. A genetic bridge to our future.
After all that was done, we decided to do the right thing and shut Niles down for good.
When we are fully cleansed and the truth comes forth, will we listen?
glad that's over with.
With all the information we have, we finally head back to the Centaur. But guess what? The Locusts are here. Despite all that has happened, the weather decided it wanted to get just as crazy, and now we have Razor Hail. Yes, even the weather in Gears of War is brutal. The hail is a mixture of ice and carbon fragments that can damage the players unless they're hidden under some cover or use the Locust Shield. It works like a riot shield, but you're only able to use your pistol, and walking around with it in this section will auto-protect you, which I actually didn't know. After getting the Centaur ready, we get to drive it in the next section. On paper, that sounds awesome, but the execution? It's terrible. Okay, not that terrible, but it's bad. Some compliments are that we can finally get to use the Gears vehicle. I also love the snowy setting here. And something I only noticed this time was that there are different routes throughout this section. With all that said, the Centaur's controls suck. Sometimes they feel slow, sometimes they feel super slippery, especially when you must back up. What doesn't help in this section is that you have to drive through the icy lakes, and stress is not strong enough to explain this section, as well as the fact that the vehicle is very easy to break, especially in the opening of this cave. Look, I love this game to death, but this section is just bad. Thankfully, there is some great dialogue.
Hey Mom, Dad, are we there yet?
We found the entrance of Mount Kandar and finally enter back into the Hollows, which, yeah, that's fun. And hey, it's the guy from the gas station in the first game. We send him and the Stranded back with Barrett and Cole, as our new goal is to set up a point for the cog to drill into the Nexus. Before that, Dom asks if the Stranded guy saw Maria. It seemed that he did, but they're likely in the Nexus already. Now we head off to the Nexus, but it'll be through, this. Yeah, it's not gonna work. But thankfully, we hijacked the Locust gunboat. We are now able to go further than we probably would have. But it's weird that the Locusts don't follow us, and I think I know why. In this section, we get to fight a Leviathan. This boss fight isn't half bad. You need to saw the tentacles to get the Leviathan up, and we need to get inside of its mouth to throw a bunch of grenades inside. I like this fight, and the Leviathan has an awesome design. Now we make it to Act 4. I may have been speeding up some of the explanations with some areas because if you know about this section, you know. The style of the Locust structure here is fantastic. I love the mix of these torches with the engraved buildings so well. We get to the Locust Highway and we get this moment.
Wait, Marcus. The old guy said we had to branch off the highway at the dam.
Look. We need to stick to the mission. We have no idea if Maria's down here and
I need to know. You don't have to go with me, all right?
Damn it. That's just gonna get us both killed. We need to get into the stronghold and activate the beacon. This is it, Dom. This is everything we've been fighting for.
Yeah? Well, Maria's everything I've been fighting for. She's my fucking wife, all right?
So you gonna turn your back on your whole world then? The other Gears we fought with? All the people who've died?
I'm sorry, Marcus. After what you did for your father, I thought you'd understand.
Dom, wait up.
We head out to find Maria. Jack manages to find one of the terminals and finds that Maria is here. All we must do is find the locust symbol associated where she is located. I like this section where you can just sneak through the guards while finding the symbol. Once we find the symbol, the locusts attack. After that, Dom finally finds Maria, and I'm just gonna let the rest of this play out.
Jack, open it up. I can't believe it, Marcus. We finally found her. Maria. Maria.
Dom.
No. No, baby. No. What did they do to you? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Maria. I tried to find you. God, I did. No, please, no. Maria. It's me, Dominic. It's Dominic. Marcus, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, man. She...
No. It's okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Maria. I love you so much.
Wow, what a scene. I don't know what else I can add, but I'll try my best. I said it before, but man, as one of the first AAA games I've played, this scene was genuinely shocking. I have never seen anything like this in a video game before. Story-wise, fuck. Seeing the things the Locusts would do to people is horrifying. Everything about the scene is genuinely perfect. From the voice actors with John DiMaggio and Carlos Ferro, who voices Dom, the cinematography, the score is perfect, everything here is fantastic. I also gotta give it to the game for slowing down a bit after this. Now, after everything that we've gone through, we finally reached the Nexus, and it's beautiful. I've already gushed over the architecture of the Locust Stronghold, but I love how the main center of the Nexus looks like a beehive. What also helps is the amount of dialogue from the Locust PSA system. I did in fact write that down as that, and yes, I'm going to continue going on with it. Another thing to add is that yes, the voice that we have heard throughout some of the cutscenes is the Queen.
Our species is destined to rule Sierra. Keep fighting, my children. Your queen is with you.
Yup, definitely the Queen.
We now must head through the Nexus so we can get a perfect spot so the Cog soldiers can grind lift down. We get the Theron guards back. Like the first game, they're a lot more aggressive and they can also wield lancers. We also get to see butchers. They act like boomers, but they have cleavers that they use to chop up rockworms. As we head into the Nexus, we should talk about something I love. The soundtrack. The goddamn soundtrack. With how good Gears 1's score was and how little credit I gave to it, this soundtrack is just like the game. It's more powerful and honestly more memorable, though that could be because this is my first Gears game. Instead of Kevin Rieple from the last game, the new composer is Steve Jablonsky, who many may recognize from his work on the live-action Transformers movie. At least that's what I know him from. I can't put into words how much I love this soundtrack. It's like a top 5 favorite OSTs. There are many tracks I want to highlight. We find a good spot for Jack to set off his beacon, and we soon see a lot of grind lifts coming down, one of them with Cole and Baird, so Delta Squad is back again. We finally reach the structure, and this section is honestly one of my favorites because of the amount of cover you can give yourself. Another favorite thing is this.
Oh, I was looking for this. Chipper, ain't she?
wants toast?
I like them crispy.
As we enter the stronghold, we see something odd. Apparently the locusts are fighting each other, except the other locusts are glowing? Well, think back to Gears 1. In the third act, we saw the Lambent Wretches. They were filled with emotion, and when killed, they exploded. Throughout the level, we see locusts that were clearly full of emotion. The Queen also talks about how these infected are also called the Lambent.
The Lambent are inferior. The plague must be stopped.
Huh, that's a pretty cool name. One more detail is one of the locusts that die actually has emotion in them and it moves? That is very creepy. Delta Squad reaches what looks like a computer and we get one of Cole's best moments.
The world is rightfully ours.
Delta Squad is in your house! You hear that? Your grub ass bitches are going down! Like way down! Dead down! So down you ain't gonna know which way is up! You're gonna be crying till your skin. Wait, oh mommy, don't let the bad man hurt us. F you, we gonna whoop your mamas. Whoa!
There we go. One muzzled queen. Not you, her. You were great. I loved your speech there, especially with the bitch-ass stuff. Very good, very enlightening.
As Jack retrieves the data, someone speaks to us?
There appears to be only one way to end this war. I fear the cost may be too great.
Marcus, is that who I think it is?
I think so.
If we were to sink Jacinto, it would flood the hollow with seawater. Nothing below would survive. We could end the war today, but only if we sacrifice our last possible refuge.
Who's that talking?
Adam Phoenix.
It's my father.
What?
When I was younger, I genuinely thought this was Jack's voice for a while. I don't know how, but that's honestly what I thought. Well, it looks like the Locusts want to sink Jacinto to eliminate the Lambent, but luckily for us, we're going to do it first and take out both of them at the same time.
Yo, baby, I'm home. You hear that? Bring me back to the old days. Number 83, the Country!
Cole, knock it off.
This final section is one of the most memorable moments gameplay-wise. Having to not only fight through narrow walkways, but also being able to help the other side with enemies is great. As well as this second part where the drop just leads to a massive pit of what I think is emotion. As we find a way out and fall right into a trap, we finally meet the Queen of the Locust.
You're the first humans to ever desecrate this palace with your presence.
It's her.
And I assure you, you will most certainly be the last.
That's the Locust Queen?
I thought she was supposed to be brought up here.
Despite the phenomenal voice by Carolyn Seymour, her design is very shocking. It's not bad, not at all. I just didn't expect this more human-esque design for the Queen herself. She says that an army was sent to prevent the humans from seeking Jacinto before the Locusts left, and then says this line.
Is it true? You're the son of Adam Phoenix.
What's it to you?
He spoke highly of you. It's a shame that you didn't follow his path.
The hell are you talking about?
It no longer matters.
I wonder what that was about. But now Mira sends Scourge into us, and wow, this fight isn't good. All you need to damage him is button mashing, and that's about it. He uses his staff to break down the pillars, but Scourge himself, with all I mentioned in the past, is incredibly underwhelming. And I've only noticed this now, but the gameplay of Scourge shows him walking like way faster than normally. Like, it's so dumb, but I love that. Because Scourge is underwhelming, he runs off with this thing. Yeah, that's absolutely terrifying. We meet up with Cole and Baird, and unfortunately the Queen went off and now we need to get out of the Nexus. How are we gonna do that? Well, we're gonna ride the Reavers.
Let's ride, Delta!
Always wanted me a little horse, but it's a blind one. They ain't cool. Let's just get the hell out of here. Let's go.
So the Reavers are thankfully automated, but their aerial control is weird. I really like the fact that you can switch from the front turret to the back turret, but there's just something about their navigation that just feels off. We managed to help some gears with this great line, but we can't stay for long because he's back.
Get up, go! Get your ass moving!
This section has us dodge rockets and avoid getting eaten. I remember this section being a lot darker, but that may be because of my old TV, which was a laptop screen that was always dark for some reason. Yeah, I was pretty poor. We finally reached the surface and head to Jacinto, but we need to hurry because the locusts have already reached the city. This is probably my favorite section with the Reavers because I love the forest. I'm starting to think my Washingtonian is coming out anytime I talk about the forest. The enemy Reavers are also pretty easy to take down, and I love this corpse they're trying to grab us. Scourge is back, and we finally have a good boss fight. You have to shoot down its tentacles as it grabs onto you and pummel it with rockets as it charges. This section is fun, and it at least lets Scourge do something before his demise. Now we head off to Jacinto in Act 5. That's not entirely true, as the start of the Reaver section is the actual beginning of Act 5, but I think this section works too as the beginning. Why do I feel like I'm confused myself with how I speak? With an amazing landing, we see the COG evacuating the city and even meet Chairman Prescott.
When you first sent this information, Sergeant Phoenix, I thought you were insane.
I seem to have that effect on people.
But it looks like your father was right all this time.
Imagine that.
Now the goal is to help the COG evacuate the people of Jacinto, and guess what? Colonel Hoffman is going to join us.
Without me, you aren't. If this is Jacinto's last stand, I'm not sitting it out.
Fair enough.
This whole act is pure chaos. There is so much happening. So many locusts, so many different areas to see. I especially love this section where you must fight in the parking lot. I still question how the hell the locusts are able to grapple onto the helipads if they're located on a, massive cliffside. But I guess video game logic. It's all great, and it's honestly one of my favorite levels. Except for this part. Having to shoot down Reavers was one of the worst parts of this act. I had at least some positives for the Centaur section, but not here. I'm just gonna flat out say it. It sucks. At least the last part is cool. Using the mortar on an open field of locusts is incredibly satisfying. I don't know what else to add. This section is just fun. Back to the COG HQ, or at least I think it is. The goal now is to use an emulsion bomb, but we can't get into the hollow yet due to the sinkhole being covered by Nemesis. So we're sent out to clear the area, and the chaos does not end, with one section having Reavers crash into the COG. But with all this chaos from the Locust, why don't we make our own fun with the Hammer of Dawn? Just like the last game, you need to charge it, but something I completely forgot to mention is that the sound effects for the laser is genuinely one of the best sound effects I've heard in a game.
Rocket control, down now! Burn, baby!
We make it to the crater, which I actually don't know how it happened. I would say it was a massive crater from a corpser, but Jacinto is a place that the Locust can't dig through. Maybe it's because of the destruction that has already been done by the Locust? I'm not entirely sure. Either way, I love the view here, and I like this section where the roof falls on each other, but now hate it since it soft locked me from not letting me move, which made me lose my Hammer of Dawn. Because guess what, even though there's a lot of smoke, you can actually use it even all the way down here. After we crash into a building, which I actually like the fact that we moved through this by the side, and I really wish there was more creative uses like this, we reached the Brumok. Considering how much time we barely have, Marcus has an insane idea.
Reavers were one thing, but a Brumok?
If they can ride them, so can we. Hijack the Brumok so that we can...
What?
We're riding a Brumok. We're gonna use it to clear the area faster.
Okay. Roger that, Delta. Keep us posted. Control out.
Yep, we're controlling a Brumok. You know the meme of how weak the boss character is once you get to play as them? Well, the Brumok is the exact opposite. It can use its chain guns, but it can also launch rockets. What I love about this section is the fact that there are so many locusts running away from us, as well as this moment.
Come on, Ugly, fight back!
Another thing I forgot to mention throughout the game is the amount of destruction that can be done to structures around us. Sometimes the destruction is used in cinematic sections, but here we can devastate the stronghold with no mercy. And the destruction, like, you know, all the debris that's going out and all that, is incredibly satisfying and still looks good even to this day. As we get further down, we reach the pillars to break so that the Ravens can deploy the bomb. I absolutely love the skybox here with all the nemesis floating around. Once all 3 pillars are broken, the cog reach us, but something goes wrong.
Something's wrong, Marcus!
Marcus, Dom, you crazy bastard! We're coming down to get you off that thing! Roger that, Baird! We're more than ready! Baird! I'm still here, Marcus. We're coming in. We're screwed. We lost the light mass bomb. So close. There's gotta be a way.
What the hell is going on with that thing?
I don't usually curse, but what the fuck is that? The lambent enemies usually just glow as of now, but this is fucking horrifying.
Is it exploding lambent? Yeah, like the wretches, but way bigger. Then I think we've got our bomb.
Well, looks like we're gonna have to use the Hammer of Dawn to kill this Lambent Brumok as our Lightmass replacement. I wouldn't say this fight is disappointing, but it's a great way to lead to the finale. As this thing blows, we evacuate the surface, and we finally finish Gears of War 2.
Get us out of here now! All KR units, evac to the surface! Control, can you read me? Anya, are you there?
Your world can end in the blink of an eye. One event, one unexpected twist of fate, and suddenly the world as you knew it is gone forever.
Anya, can you read me? Anya, come in! Anya!
All that you held dear, all that you held close, is washed away into the sea of distant memory.
I'm sorry, Marcus.
have no doubt. But life continues on, with or without you. One can only hope that one leaves behind a lasting legacy. But so often, the legacies that we leave behind are not the ones that we intended.
Wow, I got it done. Out of all the videos I've done up to this point, I don't think this will be the longest. I still think Doom Eternal will take that, but hopefully this is my best quality for a video yet. I had a lot to talk about with this game, or even cut content like the entire section that was removed after Maria's death. But even with that, I hope I did it justice for the people that not only love this game as much as I do, but even to newer people that can see why I love this game. Next video will be Gears 3 and its conclusion. I would say I will have the next video hopefully done in a while, but this video took me so long that I'm probably going to take a break just so I can be ready and hopefully not get sick so badly that I will not be able to make any content. Anyways, thank you all for watching and have an amazing day.
This is Adam Phoenix. Is anyone out there? Can you hear me? This is Adam Phoenix. Can you hear me? What have you done?